Hello everyone. You are currently, or the camera is currently, stacked on like 8 books, so this should be fun. I had to move my setup because this video has been taking me forever to get right, and I film in one take, so like if I screw up a take, I just delete it all. So, I mean, that's kind of dumb that I do that, but also I just feel like it. I don't know. Anyway, this is my best books of 2015 list. I know it's highly anticipated. Shove it, New York Times. So yeah, this is going to be fun. It's going to be not really that informative. And I don't know. This is the thing, right? I didn't read like a ton of books that were exceptional to me. So this book was pretty easy to compile. This book was really easy to compile. This video is quite easy to compile in terms of my favorite books or whatever. But yeah, we'll just get started. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the wind takes us. Metaphorically, of course. Okay. First book on my list, in no particular order, Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. Insert Kelly Clarkson's song here. I really like this book. It's a really great portrayal of friendship. It's a fun YA contemporary book. I quite like this book because I don't deal with books about mental illness very well, except for one that's on this list. I don't deal well with fictional books about mental illness very well, especially in the YA contemporary genre, and that's quite a trend, which both is a good thing in my opinion, and also kind of weird because I'm just thinking about, like, people in marketing and people who are, shelling out the money for these books and going, ooh, this is a trend. Books about mental illness is quite the trend. It just makes me feel weird. But, I don't know. I can't stomach those books. They're too triggery and weird, and not weird. They might be, like, amazing books, but I just personally can't deal with them. But Since You've Been Gone is a great alternative because it's such a fun book. It deals with serious stuff, but deals with serious stuff on, like a low-key level. I like the portrayal of friendship. I like the portrayal of the girl who's always the responsible one, which is the main character in this book, and that's who I am, which is surprising, I know, because I seem like such a free spirit, but it's a good book. You should check it out if you haven't read it, and you like contemporary, or you just like fun reads. It's a good summary book. Okay, I'm getting situated. Next book, not really in the same vein at all, but Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. I've talked about this book. This book is about mental illness, but it did not trigger me in any way. I think it didn't because it's so joyful and also so very honest. It's comes from a perspective that I really, from a place of humor, which I really love because that's how I like to look at things, with a sense of humor as much as possible. It's just a fun book that takes itself seriously but also doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes it so accessible and so important. It's not lofty, it's not overly ambitious or overly preachy. It's just an honest book that can be interpreted in any way that best suits you, I guess, and what you're dealing with your mental illness. It's just a really great book, and I've talked about it a lot, but you should just go and read it. I'm just saying. Next book, Persuasion by Jane Austen. I finished reading all of Jane Austen's major works this year. If you like her or you don't like her, she's important in the cultural zeitgeist or whatever. Persuasion was the last book I read by her, and I really liked it. I liked how realistic the portrayal of love is in this book between Anne and Captain Wentworth. I like the fact that this book deals with more of acceptance. It's not very dramatic. It's a very small story, but one that's very beautiful and I think important. It's the most grown up, I think, Jane Austen novel. It was her last book, so I'm pretty sure it was her last book. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Persuasion. Also read Mansfield Park this year, which I really liked. You read it this year? I don't remember when I read Mansfield Park. It was at some point. I think it was actually last year. All runs together. The next book is The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. This is one of the first books I read this year. It was a book that I really enjoyed. It was fun. It was sprawling, which is not a word I use very often. It was complex. It's about two guys in the early days of the comic book industry in New York. It deals with a lot of stuff. It deals with homosexuality. It deals with World War II. It deals with being Jewish during World War II. It deals with immigration, it deals with heartache and tragedy and the Holocaust and love. It's a sprawling book. It's a great book. It won a Pulitzer Prize for a reason. If you like historical fiction that has sort of a twist, read Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. Next, another sprawling novel. I have 2 this year, I know. The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. I read this in like September. I read like the first week of school, which was kind of weird, but I did. I really enjoyed this book. I got it in an airport, which it seems like an odd book to buy in an airport, but it's a complex, very complex novel that follows this woman, Holly Skies, Sykes. I would keep wanting to call her Skies, but Sykes, and people who are connected to her through time. It's heartbreaking, it's smart, it's kind of romantic, but also not romantic. It's has lots of surreal elements and weird science fiction elements, or I don't know if they're fantasy or science fiction. It's just a really fun book, but also like gets kind of heavy politically, which was surprising, but also kind of nice. I don't know. I really liked The Bone Clocks a lot. It was a fun read. It was an interesting read. It was also, the writing was like deliciously beautiful. Next is a book that's going to be on like everyone's favorite list, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I really love Rainbow Rowell, like everyone, or like no one, I don't know. But I really only love Fangirl and Carry On, and I love Fangirl partly because of the nostalgia. My phone just went off. Partly because of the nostalgia. This book, when I read it, was like, or when I read Fangirl, I was a freshman in college, and it was, I don't know, very important to me because I was kind of experiencing the things that Kath was experiencing. And then Carry On was just great. I love the fact that it twists and manipulates, but also pays homage to Harry Potter. It's both realistic and both more realistic and more unrealistic than Harry Potter, meaning that there are parts of it that are very gritty, that are very real, the elements of insecurity, of teenage life, of technology and love and crushes and dealing with how to accept yourself, but also less gritty in the fact that you don't have Voldemort, so it's like less high stakes, but also more high stakes. It was a wonderful book, and I'm sure everyone who has read it has enjoyed it. Oh shit. Darn. Hold on. The next book, very in the same vein as Carry On, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I finished Harry Potter this year. It was a big year. Finished Jane Austen's work, and I finally finished Harry Potter after like 7 years. I mean, I love this book. It was a great ending. I particularly love anything that deals with Dumbledore's backstory or any character's backstory. It was really, I loved it. I mean, duh, obviously. Next book on this list I don't have with me, and that's Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer. I expected to enjoy this book, but I didn't expect to particularly, love it. I love Rick Riordan's books. I think they're really fun. I think they're great for all ages. I think that they're both educational and just a fun time. I read Percy Jackson throughout, early high school, and then I read the next series recently, in the last couple years. And they're really fun books. I read them when I want to get out of a reading slump, and I was kind of in a reading slump. So I was like, I'm going to read Magnus Chase because it will take me out of my reading slump. And I really liked it. I mean, it's the same writing style as always, and it's the same it's the same universe, but it didn't feel like he was playing the same cards over again. The Norse mythology, I think, was way cooler, and the way he interpreted it was even cooler than what he did with Greek and Roman mythology. It was just so much fun. Magnus was so deliciously angsty, and he was a bit older than Percy Jackson in those books, and I really enjoyed it. I like the fact that there was more diversity. There was, of course, Sam, who is a Muslim girl who just kicks ass. I thought it was just, so great. I like that there was a person, a deaf person in the book. That was really cool. It was just a fun read. It was a little more, I would say, emotionally not difficult, but a little heftier than his other books because he aged up the characters. But yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was really fun. It was a great read, and I loved it more as I thought about it more, if that makes sense. And then I want to finish off with a book that is unsurprising. I think this is on a lot of people's favorites because I think a lot of people read it this year. Virginia Woolf read it, and Maureen Keevy read it, I know. But that's Anne of Green Gables by Elle Montgomery. I read this in the spring. It was the perfect time to read it. It felt like Anne. It felt like Green Gables. It felt like all of it. It was beautiful. And this book is so great and wonderful and sweet and just, it's gorgeous. Anne is my favorite. I made a video talking about this book and talking about another book that I did not like as much. But, I mean, Anne of Green Gables. I also read Anne of Avonlea, which I also really, really loved. So yeah, those are my favorite books of 2015 list. I think some, runner-ups would be The Martian by Andy Weir, which is just a fun book and a really great movie. I would say I like the movie even more than the book, just because everything was, you could see everything. Another runner-up of a book that I really liked would probably, I'm trying to think, I feel like I should know these things offhand, but I don't. What else did I read? Did I read Ancillary Justice this year? I really liked Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie. Yeah. I finished Brilliance by Marcus Sacchi, a book I've owned forever. That was quite fun. Gave it 3 stars because it didn't blow me away. Although I don't really like rating systems because I can't fully put all my feelings into a star system. I think there should be stickers instead. We should use stickers like a Montessori school. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. What are your favorite reads of this year? If you don't have a booktube channel, then let me know. Have a wonderful day.